Welcome to the Allison Knows podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be diving deep into the life and writings of Frederick Douglass,
All right.
who is
I'm excited.
just a remarkable figure in American history.
Absolutely.
And we're going to be exploring his concept of freedom,
Okay.
which goes way beyond just a legal definition.
Yeah, definitely. We're lucky enough
Yeah.
to have access to his own words to kind of guide us through this.
Exactly.
We've got excerpts from several of Douglass's autobiographies
Oh, wow.
and collections of his articles.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how much we can learn from someone's own account of their life,
Absolutely.
especially in a time period
Yeah.
so different from our own.
Yeah, it's really remarkable.
Yeah.
And what's so striking about Douglass is that he doesn't just
Yeah.
tell his story.
Mm-hmm.
He analyzes it.
Right.
He uses his experiences
Yeah.
to expose the deep flaws
Mm-hmm.
in the system of slavery
Yeah.
and to make a powerful case
Yeah.
for human dignity and equality.
So let's start at the
Definitely.
beginning.
Sounds good.
Douglass's childhood
Mm-hmm.
on a Maryland plantation.
Okay.
He paints this really vivid picture
Yeah.
of a world that's both beautiful and horrifying.
Yes, and that contrast between the physical beauty of the plantation
Yeah.
and the ugliness of slavery is so important.
Mhm.
It highlights the way that
Yeah.
the system distorted everything,
Yes.
even the natural landscape.
He talks about the great house
Yes.
where his master lived,
Yeah.
surrounded by these
Right.
beautiful gardens in parkland.
Right. It's
Yeah.
almost like a jarring juxtaposition
Well,
between this beauty and then
And then he describes the casual cruelty
yes,
and violence that were commonplace.
it's chilling.
There's a saying that was common back then.
Okay.
It was worth,
Mm-hmm.
but half a cent to kill a nigger
Right.
and half a cent to bury him.
Oh my God.
I mean, how can you even process?
I know.
That's really hard to
It's
fathom.
really hard to
Mhm.
fathom.
Yeah.
And it reveals the dehumanization
Right.
that was at the core of slavery.
Hmm.
Douglass witnessed horrific acts firsthand.
Yeah.
The murder of Denby by the overseer, Mr. Gore,
Right.
stands out.
Yeah.
A man's life taken,
Yeah.
and it's treated as nothing.
And he tells the story of an old man shot
Oh, gosh.
while fishing for oysters,
Wow.
just trying to supplement
Yeah.
his meager rations.
He's killed for it.
And he's killed for it.
It's just
It's unbelievable.
really shows how precarious
Yeah.
life was for enslaved people.
Right.
Their lives were literally in
Yeah.
the hands of their masters. There
Yeah.
was no justice, no
All right.
protection under the law.
It makes you realize that freedom
Yeah.
wasn't just about escaping physical bondage.
Right.
It was about having the basic right
Exactly.
to exist,
Yeah.
to live without fear
Mm-hmm.
of being arbitrarily killed.
And this is where Douglass's concept of freedom
Yeah.
begins to take shape.
Yeah.
He sees that it's not just about the absence of chains. It's about having the right
Yeah.
to control your own destiny,
Yeah.
to make choices about your own life.
It's about having agency.
Exactly.
And it's interesting how his early experiences,
Yeah.
particularly with his grandmother,
Yes.
shaped this understanding.
He talks about his grandmother as a source of stability and love
Right.
in a world that was constantly trying to tear him down. She represented a kind of freedom
Yeah.
within the confines of slavery,
Right.
a freedom of the spirit.
But then he's separated from her.
Yes.
Sent to work for a new master,
Right.
Captain Anthony.
And that separation just underscores the heartlessness of the system,
Yeah.
families torn apart at the whim of the slave owner.
Right.
It's a constant reminder
Yeah.
that enslaved people were not seen as human beings with feelings and connections.
And even though he was young,
Mm-hmm.
Douglass starts to understand
Yeah,
that something is deeply wrong with this whole setup.
right.
He's initially naive, thinking Captain Anthony will be kind,
Yeah.
but that illusion is quickly shattered.
It's like his eyes are opening
Yeah.
to the reality of his situation.
Wow.
He's realizing that slavery isn't just about being forced to work. It's about the systematic
Yeah.
denial of basic human rights.
And then comes a pivotal moment.
Okay.
His move to Baltimore
Right.
to live with Hugh and Sophia Auld.
Okay.
This shift
Mm-hmm.
from a rural plantation
Right.
to an urban setting
Yeah.
exposes him to
Exposes him
new ideas and
to
possibilities.
new ideas. It's
Yeah.
a turning point.
Yeah.
And initially, it seems like things might be different with
Yeah.
the Aulds.
Mm-hmm.
Sophia Auld, in particular,
Yeah.
treats young Frederick
Right.
with a certain level of kindness.
even attempting to teach him to read.
I was surprised by that.
Yeah?
It seems like she genuinely
did.
wanted to treat him humanely.
Yeah.
At least at first.
Right.
But then her husband steps in.
Oh.
And forbids her from continuing the lessons.
That reaction is so telling.
Yeah.
It reveals the fear at the heart of slavery.
Right.
Hugh Auld understood that knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
He knew that if Douglass learned to read, it would be much harder to control him.
It's like he was afraid.
Exactly.
What would happen if Douglass started thinking for himself?
Yeah, he didn't want him to have that power.
Right.
But for Douglass, this encounter with literacy is like opening a door to a whole new world.
Right.
He realizes that reading is a key to unlocking his own potential.
He even starts tricking white children into teaching him how to write.
Really?
He's so resourceful.
Yeah.
It shows that he's not just passively accepting his fate. He's actively seeking ways
Just taking control
to empower himself.
Yeah.
And this thirst for knowledge becomes a driving force
Absolutely.
in his life. He understands that education is essential for true freedom.
It's a powerful realization.
This reminds me of something you mentioned earlier about Douglass not just telling his story, but analyzing it.
Right.
Do you think his ability to read and write
I think so.
helped him make sense of his own experiences?
I think it definitely played a role.
Yeah.
Literacy gave him access to a wider world of ideas and allowed him to articulate his own thoughts and experiences in a way that would resonate with others.
Yeah.
It's no coincidence that he later becomes a powerful writer and orator using his words as weapons against slavery.
Wow, that's a powerful insight.
Yeah.
It really highlights the importance of access to education for everyone. Absolutely.
If you're enjoying this deep dive as much as I am, don't forget to subscribe and share the Allison Knows podcast.
Definitely check it out.
You can find us on Spotify and YouTube, where we're unpacking fascinating topics like this every week.
We've got a lot more to come.
We'll be right back with more on Frederick Douglass's journey and his evolving understanding of freedom.
Looking forward to it.
So we've talked about how Douglass's early experiences kind of shaped his understanding of freedom, but it's really his fight with Covey, that notorious slave breaker, that marks a turning point in his journey.
Yeah, Covey was just known for his cruelty.
Right.
Both physical and psychological.
Yeah.
He was determined to break Douglass's spirit.
Douglass describes being worked to the point of exhaustion.
Wow.
Constantly under Covey's watchful eye.
Really?
Feeling like an animal.
It was a deliberate attempt to dehumanize Douglass, to strip him of his sense of self.
But instead of breaking him, Covey's brutality backfires.
Right.
It pushes Douglass to fight back.
Wow.
Both literally and figuratively.
The physical fight between Douglass and Covey is such a pivotal moment.
It is.
It's a clash between the will to dominate and the refusal to be dominated.
Douglass describes the fight in detail, how he refused to give up, even when he was being beaten, and in the end, he stands his ground.
That moment of resistance, of refusing to be broken, is transformative for Douglass. He writes about it as a resurrection, a reclaiming of his manhood.
He says, and I'm quoting here, "It was a resurrection from the dark and pestiferous tomb of slavery to the heaven of comparative freedom. I was no longer a servile coward, but my long-cowed spirit was roused to an attitude of manly independence."
It's such a powerful declaration.
It is.
From that point on, Covey never physically assaults Douglass again.
It's amazing how that act of resistance, that refusal to be subjugated, shifts the power dynamic.
It really is.
It shows that even in the most oppressive circumstances, the human spirit can't be completely crushed.
And it highlights the limitations of brute force. Covey, with all his cruelty, couldn't break Douglass's will.
Right.
In fact, his violence had the opposite effect, strengthening Douglass's resolve to be free.
And this internal shift sets the stage for Douglass's eventual escape from slavery.
Absolutely.
He manages to make his way north, using aliases to avoid detection by slave catchers.
His escape wasn't just a physical journey. It was a mental and emotional one.
Yeah.
He had to constantly outsmart those who sought to recapture him,
Right.
relying on his wits and the help of others.
And once he reaches freedom, He doesn't just breathe a sigh of relief
No,
and try to blend in.
he doesn't.
He uses his experiences to fight for the freedom of others.
He becomes a powerful voice in the abolitionist movement,
Right.
traveling widely,
Yeah.
sharing his story,
Mm-hmm.
and arguing for the end of slavery.
He's not afraid to speak truth to power,
He's not.
even challenging President Lincoln on his policies.
He understands that freedom
Mm-hmm.
isn't something that's a given.
Right.
It's something that must be fought for,
Yeah.
demanded, and constantly defended.
And one of the things that strikes me is that Douglass doesn't just focus on legal emancipation.
Right.
He recognizes that true freedom requires more than just the absence of chains.
Exactly. He sees that social and economic equality
Yeah.
are essential components of true freedom.
He advocates for black suffrage,
He does.
arguing that the right to vote
Mm-hmm.
is essential for self-protection and advancement.
Absolutely.
He brilliantly dismantles the arguments against black suffrage,
He does.
often using wit and humor
Yeah.
to expose their underlying racism.
It's brilliant.
He also understands the power of education and knowledge.
Yes.
He founds his own newspaper, the North Star,
Right.
to provide a platform for black voices
Yeah.
and to promote literacy and education.
This is what I find so inspiring about Douglass. He wasn't just fighting for his own freedom.
Right.
He was fighting for the freedom of his entire race. He dedicated his life to creating
Yeah.
a more just and equitable society.
And he never stopped learning and evolving. His views on issues like colonization shifted over time as he gained new experiences and perspectives.
It's a reminder that true freedom also requires intellectual freedom,
Right.
the willingness to question your own beliefs
Yeah.
and to grow and change.
His time in Haiti as Minister Resident and Consul General
Mm-hmm.
was a testament to that.
It was.
He embraced the complexities of the role,
Yeah.
navigating delicate diplomatic relations,
Right.
and advocating for the rights of black people in Haiti.
He faced criticism from both Americans and Haitians,
Really?
but he remained committed to his mission
Yeah.
of promoting understanding and cooperation between the two nations.
Douglass's life was a truly remarkable journey,
It was.
filled with challenges and triumphs, but always guided by his unwavering belief in the power of freedom and equality.
His story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit,
Yeah.
the transformative power of education,
All right.
and the importance of speaking truth to power.
It's a story that continues to resonate today,
It does.
reminding us that the fight for justice is an ongoing process
Yes,
and that each of us has a role to play in creating
absolutely.
a more equitable world.
If you're as inspired by Douglass's story as we are, we encourage you to share this episode of the Allison Knows podcast with your friends and family.
You can find us on Spotify and YouTube, where we're constantly exploring fascinating topics and uncovering hidden gems of knowledge. It's incredible to think about how much Douglass accomplished in his lifetime.
I know. It's really amazing.
From escaping slavery to becoming a leading voice for abolition,
Right.
and then taking on these important government roles.
It's remarkable.
His story is truly an inspiration.
It is. And you know what makes it even more remarkable?
What's that?
Is that he achieved all of this during a
Yeah.
period of intense social and political upheaval.
Right.
He never backed down from a challenge,
He didn't.
and he constantly pushed the boundaries
Yeah.
of what was considered possible
Yeah.
for a black man in America.
You mentioned his time as Minister Resident and Consul General to Haiti earlier.
Yeah.
I'd love to dig into that a little more.
I guess
That seems like a particularly significant chapter in his life,
I think so.
given his evolving views on colonization.
Absolutely. So early in his career,
Mm-hmm.
Douglass strongly opposed colonization efforts.
Okay.
He saw them as a way to further marginalize black people
Right.
and remove them from the fight for equality in America.
That makes sense. It's like saying, okay, you're free,
Right.
but you have to leave the country
Yeah.
to actually experience that freedom.
Exactly. But Douglass's views on Haiti specifically
Okay.
evolved over time.
Yeah.
He began to see the island nation as a symbol of
Sure.
black self-determination.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, Haiti was the first black republic
Right.
in the Western Hemisphere,
Mm-hmm.
founded by formerly enslaved people
Right.
who had overthrown their colonial oppressors.
It's a powerful symbol of resistance
It is.
and the possibility of creating a society
Yeah.
free from racial oppression.
Precisely. And I
Yeah.
think Douglass saw in Haiti a model
Okay.
for what could be achieved
Yeah.
through collective action and a commitment to racial equality.
So his perspective shifted
It did.
from seeing colonization as a threat
Yeah.
to recognizing the potential for black empowerment in spaces outside of the United States.
Exactly.
That's a really nuanced perspective.
It is.
Especially considering the prevailing attitudes towards Haiti.
Right.
At the time, it wasn't exactly viewed as a success story.
You're right. There was a lot of prejudice and misinformation circulating about Haiti, fueled by racism and fear of Black power.
Yeah.
Douglass challenged those narratives.
He did?
Using his platform to speak out against the negative stereotypes and to highlight Haiti's achievements.
So when he accepted the position as Minister-Resident and Consul General to Haiti, it was more than just a diplomatic appointment.
It was a statement.
It was a statement about his belief in the potential of Haiti and its people.
Absolutely. And it wasn't an easy position.
I imagine not.
Douglass faced criticism from both sides.
Oh, wow.
Some Americans saw him as too sympathetic to Haitian interests.
Okay.
While some Haitians questioned his loyalty as an American representative.
It sounds like he was walking a tightrope.
Yeah, he was.
Trying to balance competing interests and expectations.
But he navigated those complexities with grace and intelligence.
He worked tirelessly to strengthen diplomatic relations between the United States and Haiti.
Right.
Believing that stronger ties would benefit both nations, particularly in terms of trade and economic development.
He really believed in the power of collaboration.
And he continued to be an advocate for racial justice.
He did.
Even while serving in a diplomatic role.
Yeah. Yes, his commitment to equality extended beyond national borders.
It's inspiring to see how he consistently used his platform to uplift and empower others, even in the face of opposition and adversity.
His life is a testament to the power of perseverance, the importance of speaking truth to power, and the unwavering belief in the possibility of progress.
It's a story that continues to resonate today.
It does.
Reminding us that the fight for equality is an ongoing process.
It is.
That requires constant vigilance and action.
Douglass reminds us that freedom is not a destination, but a journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey that demands constant introspection, a willingness to challenge our own assumptions, and a commitment to creating a more just and equitable world for all.
His legacy challenges us to confront the enduring issues of race and inequality that still plague our society today.
He compels us to ask ourselves, what are we doing to contribute to building a world where everyone has the opportunity to live with dignity and pursue their full potential?
That's a powerful question.
It is.
And it brings us to the end, our deep dive into the life and writings of Frederick Douglass.
Thank you for joining us.
I hope our listeners are as moved and inspired by his story as we are.
Me too. It's a remarkable story.
And if you're enjoying these deep dives, don't forget to subscribe and share the Allison Knows podcast with your friends and family.
Yeah, we'd love for you to join our community.
You can find us on Spotify and YouTube.
We release new episodes every week.
We're always exploring thought-provoking topics.
Definitely.
And uncovering hidden gems of knowledge.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Allison Knows podcast. Follow Allison on Blue Sky, YouTube, and TikTok.